Hello and welcome to the second instalment in the Nankang Tyres BMW Compact Cup. This weekend we're in a very sunny yet slightly chilly Oulton Park. Now Ian Jones is not just starting on pole this weekend, he's also top of the points board, which is putting Stephen Daly a little bit on edge. So we're going to jump straight into all the action and hand it over to Andy McEwan.
Yeah, thanks Lyndsay. Well, that double race victory at Brands Hatch last time out means that Ian Jones is 4 points clear of Stephen Daly in the early season championship table. That is likely to change, of course, as we go through the season and indeed potentially as we go through the 3 races here today. Ian is on pole for this first race with David May alongside. Ben Huntley and Keith Towers make up the second row ahead of Wayne Flint and Mark Skeets on row 3. Gordon McMillan and Matt Flowers are next ahead of Mikey Doble and David Sharp, with Ray McDowell and Lee Dendy Sadler looking for better fortunes this time than he had at Brands Hatch at round 1. Nick Edmond and Tom Langford are next ahead of Martin Gadsby and James Stanbury, with Craig Jameson and Rhys Claydon on row 9. Rounding out the top 20, John King and Will Davidson ahead of Thomas Middleton, Andy Coombs, Guy Davis and Greg Barlow. Once again, a massive field of cars here this weekend, so we have the group system back in play. 3 races, everybody races twice and everybody races each other at least once. At the back of the grid, the white car is Alessandro Albano, who has a 10-second delay to his start for a qualifying penalty, so he will leave the grid a little bit later than the rest of the field. The rest of the field, though, does leave the grid now. The race underway, the first of 3 here at Oulton Park, and a great start by Tom Langford mid-grid, but there's nowhere to go. Gets into the back of David Sharp into the run towards the first corner, and waves an apology that I'm sure David won't see. Lee Dendy Sadler locks up, gets into the side of Matt Flowers. Flowers off the road, Dendy Sadler slow, and Keith Towers gets a piece of it as well and bounces across the grass. Bits of BMW go flying, and a rather chaotic start to the race in the midfield, unfortunately. The leaders, though, go through Cascades more or less in one piece. Having said that, though, that's Gordon McMillan locking up and going through the gravel trap, and he is on the Foster's circuit. That's the wrong way, Gordon. You need to turn left at Cascades. Sadly, he will fall right to the back of the field. On board with Keith Towers, though, looking back, the lucky dice on board Keith Towers' car, waving around to the right of the camera. Looking forward now, though, into the Island hairpin on the Island circuit here, the intermediate of the 3 layouts at Oulton Park, and not the layout that most of these drivers will be used to. I don't think they've ever used this layout at Oulton before, so the hairpin likely to be the scene of some drama, I would say, over the 3 races today. Ian Jones, though, escaping the early drama. He's pulling away from May in 2nd place at the moment. That's the fight for 4th between Mark Skeets and Ben Huntley. So Huntley hasn't had a brilliant start, started 3rd, and is now down into 5th place, whereas Skeets started 6th and is into 4th. So good start for the yellow car, not such a good start for the green and grey car behind. Here is Albano, and because of some of the shenanigans up the road on the opening half lap, he's already negated all of that 10-second delay start penalty. His pace, though, is improving these days as Alessandro. With every round that he does in the BMW Compact Cup, he's getting quicker, so perhaps no surprise to see him putting in some good lap times. That is Gordon McMillan, not pulling out of the race lead, but pulling out of the way of the cars that have actually completed the entirety of this opening lap. Gordon has skipped the hairpin. He went straight through the Foster's loop and rejoined at Knickerbrook, and has, as a result, had to let everybody back through and may well be on his way into the pit lane, in fact, with possible damage. Back with Keith Towers, overtaking now the fast-starting Tom Langford. Tom Langford stays to the left-hand side of the road, and I think that Keith Towers is going to go through. Into Old Hall Corner they will go then. Tom Langford, who had a top 10 last time out, Ben Huntley and Mark Skeets both out onto the grass there. And did they rejoin the circuit? Yes, they did. And I think they're still in the same order, but Huntley is determined to get past Skeets here. Goes to the inside at Cascades and will finally prise the door open. But Ben Huntley having to work hard here to make up for lost ground off the start. Ben, who had a pair of 2nd place finishes at Brands Hatch last time, which means that he is 3rd in the points and only 8 points off the championship lead, but the championship lead being held by Ian Jones, of course. Ben really could do with beating Ian in this race. Now that, I think, is Gordon McMillan, who has not pitted and has just sort of carried on racing roughly where he was now on the first lap. I don't think that's how it works, though. I think he is supposed to let everybody go, so there may well be some sort of action taken about that afterwards. There's a car off at Hill Top, which I think is Craig Jameson's car, who hasn't made it round the first lap. I don't know if that's damage or mechanical issues, but Craig Jameson out of the race, unfortunately, in the early stages. Ben Huntley, though, back into 4th place now, looking to try and pull away from Mark Skeets. We're back on board with Keith Towers now as we go up Clay Hill underneath the pedestrian bridge. And Keith had a decent showing, actually, at Brands Hatch, a pair of 6th place finishes for Keith in the 66 car. And he's running in a similar sort of position now in the early stages of this one, actually. Actually, a few places further back, isn't he? He's in 8th place, right, or 7th place. Even I'm getting confused now by Gordon McMillan's car in the mix, the 2nd of the silver cars in the queue. Just at the back of shot. He's not on the lead lap, essentially, even though he may think he is. I'm pretty sure a penalty will be coming his way. Back over the start-finish line we go then. Ian Jones starting to extend this lead quite nicely now over a nice battle developing for second place between David May and Wayne Flint. There is David May, who is the lead Masters contender in this race. Like some Mark Skeets and Keith Towers, his nearest rivals in this one at the moment. On board with Tom Langford now. As he rounds Old Hall Corner. And move is made by Wayne Flint for second place. Oh, there's contact with David May. That came out of nowhere there. Wayne Flint had a big dive up the inside of Cascade. Now he's opened the door and he's got alongside, but I think David may have something to say about that. Back with Matt Flowers meanwhile as we go past Reese Clayton, or attempt to at least, going down the hill from the outside line there when the car doesn't turn and goes straight on and into the gravel trap goes Matt Flowers. He'll do well to get out of that. It's a very deep gravel bed, and yet the car is beat. So Matt Flowers' race, which had already sort of started to unravel at the very first corner after that contact with lead Andy Sadler, unfortunately is over now, only a handful of laps in. So not sure whether there was contact or maybe damage as a legacy from the first corner contact that sent him off, but either way, the end result is clear. He's in the gravel, he's out of the race, and I wonder whether that might require a safety car period to get it moved. Hopefully not. Back with Albano now as he continues this charge up through the field. And that, in the yellow car not far in front, is Phil Adcock. In fact, he will now be the next target for Albano. Phil back in his car this weekend, the car that was raced by the very rapid ex-Mazda racer David Chapman at Oulton Park to a top 10 finish in race 1, and was on for another good finish in race 2 before a gearbox issue, shall we call it, where the gear stick fell off in his hand on the final lap of the race, in fact. But Phil enjoying his time now back in his car. He's seen what the car can do. He knows the benchmark now that he has to chase. Do so over the rest of the season. Back with Keith Towers now as we head over Deers Leap. This is the fight for second place though, and that skirmish between David May and Wayne Flint has brought Ben Huntley a little bit closer to them now. Ben has been lapping fractionally quicker anyway, and that battle has given him all of the impetus that he needs to really start to gain on them. There's Albano up the inside of Phil Adcock, and I think he's going to go through, and there's a spin just up the road there, and that looked like it was car number 26, wasn't it, that had a rotation. Or 26, it must have, no, 28, excuse me, Guy Davis, I'll get it right in a minute. So Guy Davis with a rotation at Lodge, but didn't make contact with anything, should be able to rejoin. Back with Tom Langford now, as he races down the Lakeside Straight, still defending there from Mikey Doble behind him. And Tom Langford started this race down in 14th, so that good start did gain him quite a lot of ground. As I said, had an 11th place and a 7th place finish in his 2 races at Brands Hatch, so already looking to try and repeat some top 10 results here at Oulton Park. We've had the change for second now though. Look, Wayne Flint has gone past David May, so David May still the lead Masters contender, but Ben Huntley now trying to knock him off the outright podium altogether. So David May possibly with a mistake somewhere, or maybe just moved by Wayne Flint has rattled him and lost his rhythm slightly. Way, Ben Huntley now really starting to apply the pressure. Also applying pressure is Keith Towers as he continues to try and find a way past David Sharp, who's having a really good race here at Oulton Park. David had a trying time at Brands Hatch, not finishing the first race, and then recovered to a 13th in race 2. So David right now, though, running in 6th position. That is on maybe for his best ever finish in the championship, so he'll be desperate to try and keep Keith Towers at bay. Meanwhile, this 3-way fight for second place rounds Lodge Corner. David May, having lost that second place to Wayne Flint, is not yet allowing the silver car to escape. However, he's also not escaping himself from Ben Huntley behind. Ben definitely sees himself as a championship contender this year, I think, and that pair of second place finishes at Brands Hatch will have certainly backed that up. He needs to start winning races with more regularity, you feel. He had that victory at the end of the season in 2018 when Ian Jones was disqualified post-race. So Ben didn't win on the road, but he did take home the points for it eventually. Not really the way that he wanted to take his first ever race victory though, Ben. So the sooner he can get back onto the top step of the podium this year, the better as far as he's concerned. Not only for the championship, but also just so that he can prove that he can genuinely win races on pace alone. Tom Langford is still busily defending the inside line down at the hairpin. Hits the brakes, going to get the car stopped. It's such a slow corner. This really disrupts the rhythm of the circuit, the drivers say. But it does provide lots of overtaking opportunities. Relatively easy to defend on the way in, but then equally easy to run wide on the exit as a result and open the door down here at Hislops for a possible move to be made. It's not the case though for any of our top 10 runners at the moment. Ben Huntley there throws the car through the right-hander at Knickerbrook. Runs a little bit wide over the grass, needs to be careful if he keeps doing that, he will get caught for exceeding track limits. Tom Langford heads through the same corner now. I think keeps it a little bit cleaner. Through the gears, this very steep climb up Clay Hill. second place battle rather dissipating a little bit now. David May falling back from Wayne Flint, and Ben Huntley's grassy moment at Knickerbrook means that he's dropped back a few extra car lengths as well. David May had that brilliant podium last time out in race 2 and a 4th place in race 1 as well, which means he's level 4th in the outright championship with Mark Skeets, and of course that means he's also level championship leader in the Masters category coming into Oulton Park, because he and Mark Skeets are the 2 top Masters drivers. There, the yellow car in the background is Mark Skeets, and I think Mark is starting to catch that little group, so David may have some competition in the Masters category before too much longer. There's David Sharp, and Keith Towers is no longer behind him, because that's Gordon McMillan, who we are hearing now will have a penalty post-race, so you can take him out of the equation completely now. But Keith Towers there, the red and white car, has gone past David Sharp somewhere, so up a position for Towers, down a position for David Sharp. Still 7th spot though for Sharp, which is a really good run here, and he's not under any pressure from behind. Hopefully the team will get the message out to him in some way that Gordon McMillan is not essentially a fight for position. The question now becomes whether Keith Towers can do anything about Mark Skeets in front of him, because Keith is now the 3rd driver in the Masters category in this race, behind Skeets and May. Running out of time though now, we're into the second half of this 15-minute encounter, I should say, at Oulton Park. All of the races in the Nankang Tyres BMW Compact Cup are 15 minutes in length. It's really short, sharp sprint racing, which the drivers love, and it is all action and high intensity racing, which is what we like to see, particularly through the midfield scraps, it has to be said. David actually enjoying a rare, quiet race now. Gordon McMillan is catching him, but even if he goes through, it won't have any real effect on the outcome of the race. Through the left-hand kink at Water Tower here, so easy to lose the rear of the car without using the curb through the high-speed, flat-out left-hander, but then you hit the brakes immediately afterwards for the double apex right at Druids. There, Gordon McMillan heads through the second of those apexes. Now, David May is now starting to feel the pressure from Ben Huntley, isn't he? This is for 3rd position. So Wayne Flint into 2nd place now, and having a really good run at the moment. Can he hang on to it? That is the question. Into Old Hall they go. May and Huntley fighting for 3rd and 4th. Then it's Skeets, Towers and Sharp. Millen you can sort of take out of the equation. There's Martin Gadsby, who had that spectacular spin into the gravel in the first race at Brands Hatch. Martin currently running just outside the top 10, actually. Very good races, Martin Gadsby. Always does target top 10s if he can get them, and is showing good pace here. He's racing with Nick Edmond, the number 22 car. And Nick had a non-finish at Brands Hatch and a 12th place in the first race. Gadsby officially did finish the first race after being recovered from the gravel trap in 25th place and then 15th in race 2. So things going a little bit better for both of these drivers in the early stages here at Oulton Park. They will both have another race later on though, of course, in which they'll be looking to try and back up the promising pace from the first race. Back with Langford, this is now one of the closest battles inside the top 10. Mikey Doble is not leaving him alone here, and Tom Langford is really having to drive in his mirrors more than out of the windscreen now to try and keep that blue car at bay. Mikey Doble with a pair of 8th place finishes at Brands Hatch last time out, so solid top 10 results in the early stages. Now in his 2nd season of racing in the championship, of course. Tom Langford has been racing in the championship for a few seasons now, getting ever more experienced with every race. Martin Gadsby runs over the curbs through the chicane. Very good looking car that, isn't it? The yellow and blue number 9 machine. He's got that rear bumper reattached now after it fell off in that accident at Brands Hatch, and he nearly fell off the road then coming through Knickerbrook Corner. This ebbing and flowing gap between David May and Wayne Flint, is starting to shrink again now, I think, as David May, maybe being spurred on by the pressure he's feeling from Ben Huntley behind, is starting to up his pace again. Tom Langford defending into Lodge Corner, but so far seems to have everything covered, doesn't he? Mike Dable is close, but has never really been able to draw alongside, at least that we've seen. This rear view from Tom Langford showing us exactly how close Doble is getting, though. Old Hall Corner is a potential overtaking opportunity. I don't think Doble was really close enough. Wayne Flint rounds Cascades, gets a bit sideways on the exit. Now, is that a sign that he's starting to feel the pressure maybe from David May? Certainly David is closer than he has been for a few laps now. Keith Towers is inching towards that group, and he needs a few more fireworks to unfold in front of him, I think, to really start taking time out of them, especially since we are now in the final third of the race. Towers, you can see, he's not a million miles behind Mark Skeets now, and 2nd place in the Masters is well worth going for. Keith often seems to get quicker as the races go on. I noticed that at Brands Hatch last time out. His pace really improved in the second half of the race until he hit some traffic. Oops, Skeets locking up as well now, so one or two little mistakes creeping in for the number 55 car. Flint. David May right behind him, he's sideways again, so he needs to try and cut out these ragged little moments, does Wayne Flint, because he will eventually, at the very least, lose the position, may even lose control of the car as well, but he's feeling the pressure now. For him, the checkered flag can't come quickly enough. Keith Towers here, sort of on his own really, but this fight for second place is starting to build quite nicely as we go into the final few laps of this opening race of the day here at Oulton Park. And Wayne Flint really having to defend now, jinks over to the middle of the road. David May sees a gap up the inside, decides not to go for it, but Flint is very, very defensive on the way into the corner. This will slow down his exit. He's sideways again as he tries to get over to the right-hand side of the road to defend across the start-finish line. And all of a sudden, in the last couple of laps, David May has turned the screw and applied the pressure ever more to Wayne Flint in the hope that he can force a mistake maybe out of Wayne in front and get an extra spot higher on the podium. Ben Huntley is the one that makes a mistake at Old Hall though, and again he's running the risk of being pinged for track limits by running over those track limit sensors on the outside of the track there. Through Cascades, Flint sideways again. Can he hold it this time? He can, but he's going off surely. Yes, he's onto the grass. Wayne Flint throws it all away. You could sort of see that coming with the little moments in the last couple of laps of sidewaysness and locking up and running on. And well, Wayne Flint unfortunately will drop behind Keith Towers now into 6th position, and that's a real shame because Wayne was on for one of his best results in the history of the championship. A podium would have been just what he wanted out of this first race of the day. A top 6 or 7 is still a decent result, but he knows that he could have done better. Just started to feel the pressure there towards the closing stages, and the mistake eventually came. No mistakes though for this man Ian Jones, who we really haven't seen much of in this race, which in a way is a good thing because it means he's stayed out of trouble. He's pulled away from the rest of the field. He's clearly had the pace in this race to go for the race victory. He does not, however, have the fastest lap because Ben Huntley, prior to that grassy moment at Old Hall, had actually set the fastest lap himself. So the bonus point going to Ben Huntley at the moment, unless Jones can steal it from him on this final lap of the race. But Ian Jones looking good now for the race victory down towards Lodge Corner, and another 50 points to his tally will go down very nicely and applies the pressure now to Stephen Daly. Stephen really has to try and win his race. He'll be out in the next race without Ian Jones for competition, and then they'll both be together on the front row for the final race, which I can't wait for. A brilliant victory though for Ian Jones. He wins the opener here at Oulton Park. David May, with a masterful drive for the Masters winner, takes the 2nd place overall and the Masters victory, with Ben Huntley in 3rd overall. A brilliant race between those three. Mark Skeets is 4th, Keith Towers 5th, ahead of Wayne Flint, who recovered in 6th after that last lap moment. David Sharp, Mikey Doble, Nick Edmond and Martin Gadsby gets into the top 10. Good result for him. Then lead Andy Sadler survives to 11th after that early contact. Tom Middleton, James Stanbury, Alessandro Albano 14th on the grid from last, and a 10-second penalty. That is really impressive. Phil Adcock gets into the top 20 as well, whilst Tom Langford, Matt Flowers and Craig Jameson were your 3 non-finishes, and confirmation again there that Ben Huntley gets the fastest lap and the bonus point that goes with it.
You were just going around there by yourself?
Yeah, as you know, I'd rather be in amongst of it, in a bit of a war, but I never refuse to win.
Were you missing Stephen a little bit out there?
Yeah, I always miss Stephen. He's my buddy, my race buddy.
So this means you've got that slight bit more of a gap on Stephen, so you've got to be happy with the leaderboard situation right now.
Yeah, on the points sort of thing, it couldn't be any better. We've just got a long wait now till my 2nd race, which is last race, where Stephen should be starting on pole. I'm on 2nd, so I think that one will be good.
We'll look forward to it. Right, we'll leave you to it, but thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
David, that was a formidable fight from yourself. You've not only just come 2nd, clawed it back at the last second, you've also now top of the Masters.
This is what we're aiming for. Yes, wonderful. I thought Wayne beat me. He had me. Noticed he started making mistakes. Caught him back up. I'll take my time this year. They'll make a mistake, and he did. And managed to claw 2nd back. But hard race, very good. Loved it.
Yeah, Ben kept you on your toes there.
Yes, I could see him bouncing around in my mirrors. He's hard. You know, you don't know wherever Ben's going to end up. But I'll just keep me calm, and it'll all come together. And thankfully, here we are on the podium again. I quite like this. I'm trying to make the most of it.
Brilliant. Well, massive congratulations from us. We'll see you in the next race.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Ben, that was quite a race from yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I had a okay start, but Mark and Wayne got absolute crackers, and I sort of got shovelled out at the hairpin in turn 3. So I then had to fight with Mark. Got past him about 2 or 3 laps into the race, and luckily for me, a yellow flag saved me. It just came out as we came up the hill, and Mark just backed off and said, all right, we sort of worked together, but I managed to break the toe. And unfortunately for me, Dave and Wayne stopped fighting just as I arrived. So needed one more lap, and I thought I might have got them. I thought I might have the measure of Wayne if I got in front of Dave, but I think that would have been a bad assumption, to be honest. He was on fire.